Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video I have the latest from the live radar. Run for the latest UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. As we continue to see very unsettled conditions over the coming days, all eyes are on Saturday, where we are looking at a very lively day, seeing a big band of rain moving through in the morning, and then potentially a large outbreak of heavy showers and thunderstorms during the afternoon. It does look like the chances of that and the severity has increased today compared to yesterday. I'd be surprised if we're not going to see a Met Office warning for this, because it does look very lively on the latest UKV, so perhaps that's something that could crop up tomorrow. As we head into next week, though, we are going to stay unsettled, at least initially, but it is going to turn much, much warmer, if not hotter, as we do progress towards around the 10th to 12th of June. Temperatures could get up into the mid to high 20s, maybe even low 30s, but it all depends on the exact wind direction, how hot will that air mass be, and of course, how much rain and showers will mix in. Strong confidence, though, from the majority of runs that the wind will be coming in from somewhere with a southerly tilt, and the upper air temperatures will be at least 5 to maybe as much as 10 degrees above average for the time of year. So explore that in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see heavy rain spreading through earlier, and the remnants of that is now across parts of Europe. Some really heavy stuff across France and Belgium. Luckily, we missed the bulk of this southern edge of the rain. The majority of the rain we saw is now dissipating away into the North Sea. We did see some heavy showers and some thunderstorms on the back edge, and you can see again the remnants of these are slowly clearing away. But it was really lively around 4, 5, 6 p.m. this afternoon into the early evening, where we did see a few lines of showers and storms clearing through. Could be even livelier into Saturday. Showers will continue, though, over the next 24 hours. We're not going to have a dry Friday, but it isn't going to be anywhere near as disruptive as today. Now, I'll call this a little bit later on in the evening, just getting towards 10 p.m. And once again, temperatures aren't particularly great today. They have been fairly cool, sort of mid to high teens for most. When the sun came out, perhaps around lunchtime when some of the initial rain cleared, then yes, it was a little bit warm in places. But cloud coming over, the rain starts to fall. It feels much, much colder. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see earlier this afternoon, all that rain cleared around lunchtime, and then into the early afternoon, we had a few spots of sunshine, and then those showers and storms broke out, and then some heftier rain there across the far southeast, but that will all clear as we head into Friday morning. Perhaps another bulk of heavy rain there over the Peak District across northern England, but that should clear by rush hour, and again into Friday afternoon. Still plenty of showers around, but they don't look too big or too heavy. However, into Saturday morning, the next band of heavy rain moves in. Now, it doesn't look as organised as the rain we saw earlier today, but regardless, it's still going to drop quite a bit of rain as it clears through. And then we get to lunchtime, into the afternoon, and look at this. Some real bright colours developing there, some oranges and reds, indicating the risk of some very lively showers and thunderstorms. Not only are we seeing those heavy and sort of high intensities, but this really quite widespread, pervasive in nature. So all areas are going to be impacted by this across England or Wales. Some lighter showers further north to westwards, but it looks exceptionally lively there around lunchtime on Saturday, and it all slowly clears through the evening. But yeah, it could dump an exceptional amount of rain as that clears through. It's all because we've got a bit of increased cape, a bit of warmth feeding in from the south, and a small-scale low-pressure system. If we put on the mean sea level pressure, you can see this very small-scale low-pressure system, just a slight dip in pressure, and that causes those showers and storms to develop. And you can see enhanced cape around the centre of that low, and aiding the development of those storms. Some slightly orange colours developing there, so some moderate cape mixing in. Wasn't seeing that yesterday, or more low levels in the green. So again, slightly higher intensities today. We'll have to wait and see what tomorrow's run does have in store. But as I said, it could be a very lively Saturday afternoon. Now, as we progress into the evening, those showers will slowly clear away. And for Sunday, lots of sunshine, dry conditions, pretty pleasant to be honest. But there's still a few odd showers around. Into Monday, again not too bad, but some rain heading in for the north for Monday into Tuesday. But it's at this point where we start to see the temperature shift. We start to see southerly winds, and if you put on the upper air temperatures, you can see the very warm, hot air starting to drift in from the south. So still a bit of a westerly flow over the coming days, but eventually that wind direction shifts as we head through Sunday into Monday, and it does head into the southerly direction. And by the middle of the week, we could start to see some very warm, humid conditions starting to develop. But it is still sort of details are quite scarce on this. Again, all about the timings, all about the exact wind direction and how much will low pressure mix in. Now, if you look at the max temperatures, you can see as we progress into Friday, again, temperatures may be hovering in the high teens or low 20s, again, all dependent on where you see some showers and some thicker cloud. Into Saturday, though, we're not expecting those temperatures to be great. Pretty abysmal, for being honest. Low teens, maybe higher teens in a few spots that avoid the heftiest showers during the afternoon. But really, poor 5+ degrees below average for quite a few. Into Sunday, expect a bit of a rebound, more towards the high teens, so getting closer to average, but still below average. And then again into Monday, getting back towards those sort of average temperatures around the high teens or low 20s, 20 to 22. Tuesday, we start to see it climbing even higher, 23 to 25. So starting to feel some warmth out there. I would expect this to continue increasing as those upper air temperatures do shift to a southerly direction. Maybe high 20s or maybe even touching the 30-degree range by the end of the week as those winds start moving in. But of course, it all depends on timings. How long do those southerly winds move in? And some runs have a real intense blast, but short lasting. Other runs are not quite as intense, not getting the 15 or 17 degree isotherm in, but maybe 12 or 13 degree isotherm, but lasting a lot longer. So it's still got some discrepancies within the runs that we'll look at in a minute, but they're all showing something that's above average, that's very warm, and some even towards heatwave thresholds. And if you look at the latest GFS, you can see nothing warm and settled at all in the latest outlook, but it all changes into next week with this wind direction shifting to the south as high pressure moves towards Scandinavia. Now you can see though, there is low pressure just out to our west, and it does mix in with the warmer air, so we would probably see some showers and storms developing in this scenario. Eventually though, the high pressure stays in control. The wind is more from an easterly direction, so this time of year that's not particularly cold. We're getting towards the peak time of summer in the next sort of 3 or 4 weeks. So again, it's going to be a warm easterly, but it could be cloudy and it might produce a few odd showers. But you can see into the middle of next week, we do see that southerly push and we have a glance with very warm air, but it never establishes itself. We stay around average or above average, and eventually we do see something warmer returning again around 384 hours. So the GFS, no heat wave, no major heat, even for a short period of time. Because of course heat wave is hot conditions, but also sustained, so no small heat blast here, but definitely warm above average for a more consistent period of time. Again, there could be a few peaks and troughs in there, but generally speaking, it would be drier and it would be a lot warmer. Now, if you look at the GM, again, very unsettled the next few days into next week. We do see that southerly wind by Wednesday, Thursday. Again, low pressure just out to our west. It could be very unsettled, but look at this. A huge pool of hot air moving in from the southeast. The 20-degree isotherm gets very close by, but as I said, it's a small short blast. Low pressure sweeps through and it would produce some hefty showers and storms, or eventually something a bit warmer starts to move back in with the higher pressure. So it would go warmer longer term, but it's that real short intense blast that we've got our eyes on. And again, if we do run it back, we can see the temperatures could peak next Wednesday, Thursday, around the mid to high 20s. Next Wednesday, 25 to maybe 27. And next Thursday could be slightly higher, again, all depending on showers and storms, but would be very hot and humid come the middle to second half of next week if this did occur. And now finally, if we look at the latest ECMWF, again, we have no pressure involved at the moment, high pressure building in, and you can see the strong south to southeasterly wind, and again, drawing in some very warm, hot air, maybe not as hot as the GM, but regardless, similar pattern, but with low pressure involved, so it could be a lot of thunderstorms, before eventually, look at this, 324 hours, we start to see another very hot pattern starting to take off with a real extended southerly flow. So all 3 runs are warm, are turning hopefully drier, and a couple of them are going very hot and potentially a few thunderstorms, maybe even a heat wave like the ECMWF is threatening at the end of its run. So again, a little bit scarce for details. The models are still a little all over the place, not really agreeing on the exact pattern, and they do continue to slowly push it further into the future. We thought initially the first week of June would be warm. This week, that's not turned out to be the case. It looks like next week it's going to finally arrive, but again, exactly what capacity is still yet to be determined. We can see, though, from the latest ensembles that there is strong confidence in that above average temperatures. It's still cool, probably, I said, around the 10th, 11th of June, and that is, as we head into the middle of next week, a big spike in upper air temperatures up towards 10 to 15 degrees, which is around 5 to 10 degrees above average, and it stays above average for the foreseeable future. You see the GFS operation roll is a little bit rogue there, producing a slight cooler air mass for a time. Generally, most are slightly unsettled, some precipitation spikes, but much drier than it's been recently over the past sort of week or so. Of course, spring was very dry. We had exceptionally unsettled last week, and now it's turning a bit dry once again. But the upper air temperatures are still above average. And then finally, if we compare it to the latest ECMWF, the midday run is only just coming out, so we'll look at the midnight run in a moment. But again, cool, at least until the 10th of June, and then above average, significantly above average, potentially into next week. And you can see that big spike there and staying again above average beyond that. So big thunderstorms coming on Saturday potentially, when inside a pretty unsettled outlook. But into the early to middle part of next week, temperatures are going to trend back towards above average or even significantly above average. And it could set the precedent for perhaps some persistent and consistent warm conditions throughout the middle of June, with a few spells of intense heat. That is kind of the sort of median outlook we're seeing at the moment. That's kind of the middle of the row options. Is warm with potentially some spikes in heat. You could see something like the ECMWF that is warm with some very intense spikes of heat. The 20-degree isotherm. That really would be looking at turning the furnace on there. It'll be sort of mid-30s. So hopefully that doesn't occur. That's a bit too hot for my liking. But we'll have to wait and see. But definitely all options are still on the table there. But as I said, we are definitely leaning towards warm, maybe hot conditions there, towards the middle portion of June. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you again for another video soon.